My name is Claire Bennett. And during my sister's wedding reception, she grabbed the microphone, pointed directly at me, and called me the unwanted daughter. Flushed heartbreak. The entire ballroom went silent for 1 second, before my parents covered their mouths laughing. Like humiliating me publicly was the funniest moment of the night. I stood there frozen while over 200 guests stared at me with pity. But what nobody inside that ballroom knew was that my late grandfather left behind one secret letter meant to be opened only if my family ever crossed one final line. And 20 minutes after my sister's cruel speech, that letter destroyed everything they thought they knew about our family forever. My name is Claire Bennett. I grew up in Boston, Massachusetts, inside a family where love always felt conditional. Especially for me. My younger sister Olivia was the golden child. Beautiful, popular, confident. Meanwhile, I became the quiet daughter everyone tolerated rather than celebrated. Growing up, the difference in treatment wasn't even subtle. Olivia got birthday parties with huge decorations. I got simple dinners at home. Olivia made mistakes. Mom called them phases. I made mistakes. Dad called them disappointments. For years I convinced myself maybe I was simply too sensitive. Maybe all families compared siblings sometimes. But deep down, I always felt like an outsider inside my own home. The nickname started when I was 13. One evening during an argument, Olivia screamed. Nobody even wanted Claire anyway. The room became silent immediately. Mom looked uncomfortable. Dad avoided eye contact. And something about their reaction terrified me. Because nobody corrected her. Nobody said, "That's not true." Later that night I overheard my parents whispering aggressively behind their bedroom door. That moment planted a painful seed inside me. What if Olivia knew something I didn't? Still, life continued. I buried the insecurity deeply and focused on surviving emotionally. By adulthood, I became independent quickly. I moved to Chicago, worked as a pediatric nurse, built my own quiet life. Meanwhile, Olivia stayed emotionally attached to my parents constantly. Family vacations, business connections, financial support. The three of them functioned like a perfect little unit. And honestly, I stopped fighting for inclusion years earlier. Because begging people to love you equally slowly destroys self-respect. The only person who ever treated me differently was Grandpa Theodore. Grandpa adored me, not politely, genuinely. He used to call me the strongest Bennett. Even when nobody else noticed me, Grandpa always did. Every birthday he mailed handwritten letters reminding me, "Your existence matters more than you realize." At the time I thought he was simply emotional. Now I understand he carried guilt. A lot of guilt. Grandpa passed away 2 years before Olivia's wedding. Losing him broke me completely. At the funeral, I remember Dad crying harder than I'd ever seen before. Not from love alone, fear too, though I didn't understand that yet. Then came Olivia's wedding. Massive luxury ceremony in Napa Valley. Perfect flowers, expensive wine, social media photographers everywhere. Classic Olivia. Honestly, I almost didn't attend. But Mom practically begged, "Please don't create drama by missing your sister's wedding." Funny how setting boundaries becomes drama in toxic families. So I went. From the moment I arrived, the atmosphere felt uncomfortable. Bridesmaids ignored me. Relatives acted awkward. Even my assigned dinner seat sat hidden near the back beside distant cousins. Typical. Still, I stayed polite. Because I promised myself years ago never becoming cruel like them. The ceremony itself went beautifully. Olivia looked stunning. Guests cried emotionally. For one brief moment, I genuinely hoped maybe adulthood changed things. Maybe we could finally become normal sisters. Then the reception speeches started. Dad gave emotional stories about Olivia. Mom cried dramatically. Then Olivia grabbed the microphone for her final toast. At first everything seemed normal. She thanked guests, praised her husband, made jokes. Then suddenly, her eyes landed directly on me. And her smile changed. That smile instantly made my stomach tighten. Olivia lifted her champagne glass and laughed lightly. "And special thanks to Claire for actually showing up tonight." Some guests chuckled awkwardly. Then Olivia added, "Honestly, I didn't think the unwanted daughter would come." Silence. Complete silence. I felt my body freeze instantly. But what destroyed me most wasn't Olivia's cruelty. It was my parents' reaction. Dad covered his mouth laughing. Mom literally leaned against the table giggling. Like humiliating me publicly was entertaining. My chest tightened so painfully I could barely breathe. Guests stared at me horrified. One woman whispered, "Oh my God." But Olivia kept going. I mean seriously, Claire always acted like she never fit into this family anyway. More uncomfortable laughter spread. And suddenly, 20 years of buried pain exploded inside me all at once. I stood up quietly. Not dramatic. Not screaming. Just numb. I walked toward the ballroom exit while tears blurred my vision. Then something unexpected happened. Grandpa's old attorney, Mr. Whitmore, intercepted me near the hallway. Apparently he attended quietly because Grandpa specifically requested it before dying. His face looked deeply disturbed. Then he asked softly, "Did they really just say that publicly?" I nodded silently. Mr. Whitmore closed his eyes briefly like a man finally watching a prediction come true. Then he reached inside his briefcase and pulled out a sealed envelope. Yellowed slightly with age. My name written across the front in Grandpa's handwriting. My hands immediately started shaking. Mr. Whitmore whispered, "Your grandfather instructed me to give you this only if your family ever humiliated you publicly again." Again. The word hit hard. Because suddenly I realized Grandpa knew far more than I ever understood. I opened the envelope trembling. Inside sat a handwritten letter and official legal documents. The letter began, "My dear Claire, if you were reading this, then I failed to protect you properly while I was alive." Tears filled my eyes instantly. Then came the sentence that changed my entire life forever. "You were never unwanted. You were hidden." My breathing stopped. What followed shattered everything. Apparently my mother had an affair briefly during her marriage decades earlier. I wasn't Dad's biological daughter. And when Dad discovered the truth after my birth, he agreed staying publicly married only under one condition. The family would never discuss it openly. Ever. But privately. Resentment poisoned everything, especially toward me. Suddenly my entire childhood made horrifying sense. The emotional distance. The favoritism. The coldness. I wasn't imagining it. I was punished for existing. Then came the final shock. Grandpa secretly changed his estate before dying. Most family assets remained divided normally. Except one section. A private trust worth nearly $4 million. Left entirely to me. Alongside one final instruction. Use this to build a life where nobody makes you feel unwanted again. I completely broke down crying in that hallway. Not because of the money. Because for the first time in my life, someone finally confirmed I wasn't crazy. The rejection was real, and none of it was my fault. Meanwhile inside the ballroom, chaos erupted after. Mr. Whitmore entered holding estate documents. Apparently Grandpa included one additional clause. If public emotional abuse toward me continued after his death, certain family inheritances would automatically transfer elsewhere. Straight to my trust. Olivia's face lost color instantly. Dad looked physically sick. Mom started crying immediately. But honestly, I felt strangely calm. For the first time ever. Their cruelty finally carried consequences. Later that night Dad approached me privately outside the venue. His eyes looked exhausted. Then quietly he admitted, "You never deserved how we treated you." I stared at him silently. Because after years of emotional neglect, those words arrived far too late. Mom tried apologizing too. Olivia never did. But honestly, I stopped needing apologies the moment I understood something life-changing. People who make you feel unwanted often project shame they refuse facing inside themselves. Today I'm 34 years old. I still work as a nurse. Still miss Grandpa every day. But now, I live without begging anyone for love they're unwilling to give freely. And that peace feels worth more than inheritance ever could. Children should never carry punishment for circumstances beyond their control. Favoritism and emotional rejection create wounds lasting decades. And sometimes the people making you feel unwanted are actually hiding guilt, shame, and resentment they refuse confronting honestly. Real family makes you feel safe, valued, and loved, not tolerated conditionally. If this story touched your heart, thumbs up, like this video. Bell subscribe for more emotional stories. Speech balloon comment below. Do you think parents should ever treat children differently because of family secrets? Flushed heartbreak.